Hello YouTube, back once again for my Oscar countdown. Here we are at the top three. And like I said, for my number three pick, I said in my last video, I think I like Birdman more than I like this film, but I gave this film my number three spot because I feel it was the more important of the films, and that film is Selma. Now, Selma, this is a biopic about Martin Luther King. This is actually the first of theatrical biopic of Martin Luther King. Quite an interesting thought. Now this film, though it doesn't do its entire life, this film pinpoints the lead up to the march from Selma to Montgomery, Alabama, and that's where the event of the infamous Bloody Sunday happens. That's where the bulk of this plot of this film this is what most of the bulk of the plot of the film is the build up and to the march. Now, let's go to the positives and negatives to this film. Let's just start off with the number one positive. Let's say it with me again. It is the acting. The acting in this film is fantastic from beginning to end. I heard some people say they were so pissed off that Jake Gyllenhaal did not get nominated for Best Actor. Screw them. Screw the fact that Bradley Cooper got nominated. You know who deserved a nomination? David Oyelowo. I don't know how to pronounce his name properly. He as Martin Luther King Jr. is unbelievably good. Because here's the thing about Martin Luther King Jr. Like, when you had Daniel Day-Lewis like playing Lincoln a few years ago, like, it was an amazing performance. I loved it. But Lewis got off a bit easy, because the thing is, none of us really know what Lincoln sounded like or like how he talked, because there was no video back then, and all we can go off of is documents. Martin Luther King, though, everyone knows it. Like, we all hear his famous speeches in school growing up. We all know what Martin Luther King sounds like. Martin Luther King Jr. sounds like. And because of that, the fact that this actor, he just does such a great job at sounding like him, especially when he's at the end of the film, he does give one of his more famous speeches at the end of the film, and he does just sound like Martin Luther King Jr., and it is such a fantastic performance. And there's another thing about the performance I will go into later when I talk about another part I loved about this film, but let's also talk about another great performance in this film, and that was from Carmen Ejago. I don't know how to pronounce her name either. She plays Martin Luther King's wife, and she also does a fantastic job. She just does a great job, because like, she clearly supports her husband's cause, and she just shows, to a certain degree, how much like she just wants her husband to quit, like give it to someone else to a certain degree, because like this just causes like so much strain on them. Like, they're getting like, their kids are getting constant death threats, and it's just like, she just shows just like how hard pressed she is to stay with Martin Luther King and support her husband in all of this, even because it's just such a hard thing for her, and she does a wonderful job. It is amazing. So, acting, those are main actors. All the side actors, wonderful job. There's too many to go through, but all of them, there was not a single actor in this film that annoyed me, except for one, and I'll get to that later when I talk about the bad of this film. So, once again, acting, A plus, fantastic, not a single note missed. Okay, and now let's move into the thing that I thought was actually the best thing about this film, because here's the problem a lot of biopics get into, like, when they try to talk about someone like as important as such a human cause like Martin Luther King Jr. It is the fact that sometimes they glorify them too much. Like, they try to make them look too much like such a great human being. Like, I talked about this in the Theory of Everything. I talked about how it seemed like they tried to make Stephen Hawking seem a little less of a bastard when it came to his marriage than he really was. Like, this film, though, this is an incredibly honest film from beginning to end when it came to the man. the man Martin Luther King Jr. was. Like, because here's the thing: anytime they talk about him in school, they always talk about like how he was essentially just a god to humanity, just like just like nothing wrong with him. They go into the fact he was not even though he was a great man, he was still a man in the end. They very much delve into this movie because things about Martin Luther King Jr. He cheated on his wife. They talk about it on this one. He cheated on his wife multiple times, and they also go into the other fact that like. Because they go into because it's just you have to just like you gotta like be like it's a reasonable thought. It's not like he doesn't admit he didn't love any of these women. He just said like I'm just so lonely and just so depressed sometimes because of this cause. I just need someone to be with, and like I said, that shows that he is a human. He was not like a perfect human being. And another great thing about this film, it also shows like just like how much of a strain this entire process took on him. It just like talked about like such things as like there's like a great scene like when he's talking to like a fellow supporter, one of his head leaders of the cause, and like he basically is just saying like they're saying in prison, it's just like why are we doing this at this point? Like, I mean, even if we get what we want, we're still gonna be scrutinized again. There's still gonna be racism. Like sure, well, like a black man can sit down at a white man restaurant and order from the menu, but will they even be able to read it? And you can understand why. You just can't even imagine just how hard and painful this process of him fighting for civil rights must have been. It's just such a hard thing to think about. And so that was another great example of how they humanized Martin Luther King Jr. So yeah, I did love how honest the script was from beginning to end, and I will also say before getting the the last thing that I thought was fantastic about this movie, I also loved how human all the characters were. Like, they showed that these people were fighting for a cause they believed in, but they were still afraid. They knew the risk they were taking when they got involved in such things. Like, I love this scene. Like, there's like a great scene like when they're about to do the march where Bloody Sunday takes place, and like the main leaders, because Martin Luther King's not there, like they're basically like all his like head workers like. They draw straws to see who has to stand on the front of the line, and I love that. I love just how it showed, just like, they care about their cause, but they were still afraid. They knew the risks, but they still didn't want to take the risk. Like I said, that's a very human thing. And like I said, that's probably the best thing about the movie, just how much they humanize everyone in this film. Now, so all I can say, and considering this is a film that's all about script and the people, it's done fantastically. And I will also say, with the Bloody Sunday scene, that was just such a hard scene to watch. It was just heartbreaking. It was just so awful, and you're just like, I can't believe our nation did this. So yeah, fantastic. And let me tell you, this was a film. This film, there's a scene near the beginning. I won't say what happens in it, but it shocked me. I was just so unprepared for it. It did a perfect job at just showing what this must have been like for people, just like how quiet like things can be at one moment, and then just like how much they can all change in just a mere second. Like, it's a shocker of a scene. So it's a fantastically made film, and so that's a major plus of the film, and how they talked about just how unfair things were for the African Americans back during those times down south. So, how like a white person could easily just shoot a African American and just get away with it so easily. And so I've been talking about nothing but goods. There is one bad of this film, one bad that got my last goddamn nerve with this movie, and that is the one actor who I said was the weak link of this film, and that is Oprah Winfrey in this movie. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not that she couldn't act, because Oprah can actually act. I'll give her a lot of credit. She can act. act. Sorry. But here was the problem. Like, ever seen the movie 12 Years a Slave? Well, in case you didn't, the person who ended up freeing the main character, the slave, after the 12 years was played by Brad Pitt. And when I saw this with people and I, like, started reading online, a lot of people were annoyed that was Brad Pitt, cause, it wasn't that they thought Brad Pitt was bad, they just thought it was really distracting that Brad Pitt showed up at the end, and I was like, Brad Pitt didn't annoy me, okay, he's Brad Pitt, yeah, okay, yeah, but I was just like, okay, he's, whatever, he's Brad Pitt, it's a real person, he only inserts himself in, he produced the movie, he only inserts himself into the one scene where this, person showed up, it's not like he, put himself through the entire movie, so I was cool with that. Oprah, on the other hand, though, this is just 10,000 times more annoying than, Brad Pitt in 12 Years a Slave, because this is why. Now, Oprah, she's in the first scene of the movie, and it is a very well done scene. It is very emotional. She does a good job acting in it. It is a very well done scene. And I was just like, wow, that was a great appearance by Oprah. She produced the movie. She wanted to insert herself in there. Okay, I'm not too distracted by the fact it was Oprah. Good job. But here's the thing. Unlike Brad Pitt in 12 Years a Slave, Oprah does not go away for the rest of the movie. She stays there. She will keep showing up out of nowhere in this film. There is literally scenes, like the Bloody Sunday scene, heartbreaking scene. You're just just shocked at just the violence and brutality. All these extras are just getting the shit beat out of them. They're being hit by spike bats. You're just seeing blood and tear gas. Everyone's so heartbreaking. Then it will just cut to Oprah. Just cut to her just screaming. And you'll be like, why? Why is that so necessary to cut back to Oprah? Oh, God. And then it'll just cut back to the other extras, and you'll be like, oh, God, this is so horrifying. Oh, my God. Jesus freaking Christ. And it'll just cut back to Oprah. Back to Oprah again. She just couldn't go away. So that is my one issue with this film. It starts, anytime Oprah would show up after the first scene, it took me right out of it. I was just like, why is she here? Why will she not go away? She is not important to this scene in the slice. Just use the extras. Do not keep using Oprah. I get you produced it, Oprah. I'm fine with you inserting yourself with that one scene, but don't feel like you gotta keep showing up in it, because you don't. You are a fine actress, but you are so distracting when you will not go away like that. Sorry I got angry there for a moment. It just really got my nerves, because besides that, I would say this is a perfect film. So, and the fact that that was the one thing that got on my nerves, that really, I find really obnoxious. Okay, and one last comment about the film before I close this review up. Here's one thing a lot of people have talked about, and that is how they treated Lyndon B. Johnson in this film. Now, Lyndon B. Johnson, in my opinion, he was a very good president. I did find him a very interesting human being to read about during my time in history class. Now, here's the thing, though. A lot of people hated this movie. A lot of people said, no, I'm not watching this. Not watching this. They weren't fair to Lyndon B. Johnson. They weren't fair to him. They weren't fair to the white man in this film. And look. Lyndon B. Johnson was a good president. He did help the civil rights movement. But here's the thing. And I know some people were offended, that they made him try to look like a bad guy. One, I did not think he came off as a bad guy. He just came off as a guy who just basically was like, my strategy does not agree with King's. I just seriously just need time to work this out, but King wanted it done now. And so, yeah, one, I didn't think he came off as a bad guy. And two, I actually forgot what I was going to say for two, but whatever. That's my thing. He did not come off as a bad guy. And, oh yeah, second thing, he does end up being a giant help at the end of the movie. So don't think that they just say Lyndon B. Johnson was a dick in this film, because that is not what they're saying in the slightest in this movie. They just clearly wanted to show, and I'm pretty sure the directors clearly want to show, Martin Luther King was the hero here. Not Johnson. King. King was the hero, and that was the director's goal. My God, did he achieve it, because I never thought for a moment that this was Johnson. I thought for all the entire movie, this was King from beginning to end. So, that is fantastic. And so, I actually talked to my history professor about this. I was like, Jesus, you gotta go see Selma. It is an amazing representation of Martin Luther King Jr. He's like, I don't know, John. I heard they don't treat Lyndon B. Johnson too well in that film. Okay. I was at a talk about the Oscar predictions last night, and someone said something really interesting that made me think. They said, when they were talking about this film, they said, why is it that the fact that the thing everyone talks about with this film is not the film itself, but how they treat Johnson, the white person? It definitely shows who's in control of the conversation. And to a certain degree, you can call this film a masterpiece. Because this is art imitating life. So you can call this, because this film, even though this film shows we have come some way when it comes to the difference between whites and blacks, we still have ways to go. And to that degree, this film this is the film, above all other films I'm going to say on this list, even though this is not my number one, this is the film that must be seen by everyone. This, above all others, must be seen. So, final rating. I give this film 4.5 out of 5. I would give this film a 5 out of 5 if it wasn't for Oprah. But unfortunately, Oprah was in this film. If she was just in that one scene, it would have been fine, but she just couldn't go away. Sorry, this was probably a more serious review. This is a more serious topic than any of the other films I'd be reviewing. But all I can say is please subscribe. That was number 3. I'll be back tomorrow with number 2.